Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening for our webinar on air quality monitoring, ambient air quality monitoring in Virginia, hosted by Virginia DEQ. My name is Danielle Sims, and I'm the Environmental Justice Program Manager here at Virginia's DEQ Central Office. One of our big initiatives our office has taken on this year is to share more information with the public about DEQ resources and programs. You can visit deq.virginia.gov/edu to learn more about future webinars. Whether you're here live with us or watching us as a recording, thank you for your interest in air quality. And lastly, I'd like to introduce the staff that have helped organize the webinar tonight and those who have a supporting role to assist everyone. First, from our Office of Environmental Justice, Kate Miller, our EJ coordinator for Southwest, Blue Ridge, and the Valley regions, will be our moderator tonight. May Fernari, our EJ coordinator in the Piedmont region, will be helping us with questions, getting questions answered, as well as Gwen McCrae, our EJ coordinator in the Northern region. Our training services manager, Kevin Vaughn, will also be helping us with some of the behind the scenes work of GoToWebinar. And our air quality manager, Chuck Turner, will be helping us answer those technical questions. And last but not least, Grace Holmes, our EJ coordinator in the Tidewater region, will be giving tonight's presentation. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Kate Miller.
All right, great. Thanks so much, and thank you all for joining us this evening. Welcome again to the Ambient Air Quality Monitoring webinar, hosted by the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality. Before we jump into the webinar, we wanted to briefly go over the GoToWebinar format to help familiarize all participants with the control panel that hopefully you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen. Next to the letter A, there's a microphone icon. This allows speakers to mute and unmute themselves as necessary. Below that, next to the letter B, we have a raised hand icon. This might be used in a situation such as if a speaker or presenter asks a question like, please raise your hand if you can hear me. And then a little bit further down next to the letter C is a gray bar labeled handouts with a drop-down list. We're currently working on trying to get one handout in there right now. Hopefully it will be the air quality fact sheet will be appearing there shortly. And then below handouts, you'll see the next letter is D. This is another gray bar labeled questions. This is a text box where you can ask questions about the presentation, and we made sure to build in some pauses for questions during the webinar. When we reach one of those pauses, we'll read the questions that have been submitted so far and give DEQ staff a chance to address and answer your questions. Just a quick note, this presentation is intended to provide participants with a broad overview of DEQ's role in monitoring outdoor air quality in Virginia. So we will not be able to address questions about specific DEQ projects or permits during tonight's webinar. However, our behind the scenes folks will be monitoring those more specific questions so that we can get you connected with the appropriate DEQ staff member after the webinar who can help you address those questions. As a heads up, we'll also have a few polls throughout tonight's webinar we hope that you'll participate in. When a poll pops up, you'll see a question with multiple choice style answers. You can just click on your preferred answer. And with that, I'll hand it over to Grace for the presentation.
Thanks, Kate. So thank you guys for giving us your time this evening. We really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll all learn a little bit about air quality in Virginia. To review briefly the objectives that we're hoping to cover tonight. First, we're going to start with the basics and define ambient air quality. What is it? What are we even talking about, right? We'll talk a little bit about the Clean Air Act and explain DEQ's role in air quality protection here in the state of Virginia and at large in the United States. We'll talk a little bit about understanding of how ambient air quality is monitored and how that's conducted specifically in Virginia. We'll talk a little bit about the AQI, or the Air Quality Index, and what that is and how you can use it day to day. We'll review some other relevant resources, and then of course we will give you guys opportunities to ask questions and get some answers from our air quality staff. But before we dive into our content this evening, we did want to start with one poll just to kind of gauge where everybody is on the spectrum of air quality knowledge before we get into the content this evening. So I will allow Gwen to go ahead and launch our poll.
Oh, I think Kevin's going to do that for us. Thank you.
I am going to do
All right.
that. There you go, folks. There's a poll question for you showing up on your screen. How much do you already know about air quality and air quality monitoring? Just go ahead and make your selections here. Let's see if we can get this up, or it's the first poll question. Let's see if we can get that up to about 75% people voting. Excellent, 80%, wonderful. All right, let's go ahead and close this poll. And I'm going to go ahead and share the results with you all. And there you are. What do you make of that, Grace?
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. It looks like we are kind of across the spectrum here. It looks like 6% of us are experts, so glad to have you all in the room too. But it looks like a lot of us are a little bit more on the kind of need more information spectrum. So hopefully we can push all you guys closer to being pretty familiar by the end of the presentation this evening. All right. So before we really dig into what we're going to cover this evening, we wanted to start with just some definitions, making sure we all kind of understand what we're talking about. So first, you guys have already heard me say it, but ambient air quality, all that means is the air that's all around us. And we measure the actual levels of pollutants in the outdoor air. And it's important to remember that in Virginia, DEQ covers outdoor air and not indoor air. So the focus of this webinar will be on ambient air quality and then ambient air quality monitoring. Indoor air quality, of course, is a very important topic, but one that DEQ doesn't measure or regulate. That falls to the Virginia Department of Health in the state of Virginia. So again, ambient air quality is the air that's all around us, and this is measured using air quality monitors, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. This also refers to regional air quality as a whole and not necessarily effects of specific facilities or sources. And it's kind of the baseline that we use to assess general air quality and measure potential impacts of any additional sources. And then looking at emissions, there are stationary source emissions, and those are just pollutants that are in emissions coming from facilities like factories or power plants. And DEQ issues permits for stationary sources, and those include limits on those emissions as well as requirements for those facilities to monitor those emissions. We also have mobile source emissions, and those are pollutants and emissions from sources that can move or be moved, such as cars or trucks. DEQ monitors and regulates mobile sources emissions in Virginia, but only in Northern Virginia. And we'll talk a little bit more about why that is later. We also have our criteria pollutants, and you can see those 6 common pollutants there on your right: lead, carbon monoxide, ozone, particulate matter, nitrogen oxide, and sulfur oxide. And we'll talk a little bit more about those in detail later. And then we also have our air toxics, otherwise known as hazardous air pollutants. And these are pollutants that are known to cause cancer or other serious health impacts. And there are currently 188 regulated hazardous air pollutants recognized by the EPA. And the EPA is the list, does maintain that list of hazardous air pollutants. And just in case anybody doesn't know, EPA stands for the Environmental Protection Agency, which is kind of like the federal version of DEQ. And on that note, we did want to look at a couple acronyms this evening as well. I'll try really hard not to use acronyms where we can avoid it, but once in a while we will be using them. So if I use an acronym that you don't recognize, please feel free to throw a question into the chat and we will make sure to clarify for you. So the first acronym is CAA, or the Clean Air Act. We'll definitely be talking about that today. The next are the NAAQS, or the NAAQS, the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. AQI, we've already said it this evening, or Air Quality Index. The SIP, or State Implementation Plan. And then we've already said this today as well, particulate matter, we'll refer to that as PM. So to set the stage a little bit, let's talk a little bit about why air quality matters, right? So first of all, air pollution can impact human health, most importantly. And as we know, air pollution effects can really range. They can cause discomfort like itchy eyes when you have a lot of pollen in the air, but you can also have more serious health problems linked to exposure to air pollution that can be serious illnesses or even mortality. Also, very importantly, we always want to enjoy our time outdoors, and we want to be able to know that our well-being isn't being impacted when we're enjoying that time outdoors. A good example of that is that the visibility over the Blue Ridge Mountains here in Virginia has decreased over the last 50 years due to air pollution. And so those kinds of things really impact our ability to fully enjoy the outdoors. Of course, we also have our plants and wildlife are a really, really important part of making sure that our ecosystems here in Virginia are safe and that the natural environment is protected. And of course, that follows our water, land, ecosystems, and habitats, which are all impacted by the things above. So DEQ is the environmental agency in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the Department of Environmental Quality, appropriately named. And we are responsible for administering laws and regulations related to the natural environment, and those include air quality. Our mission is to protect and enhance the environment of Virginia in order to promote the health and well-being of the Commonwealth's citizens, residents, and visitors in accordance with applicable laws and regulations. And our vision is that all Virginians enjoy cleaner water, better air quality, and productive reuse of land that was once contaminated. And we monitor ambient air quality here in Virginia to help us achieve these goals. So what kinds of things can impact ambient air quality? We'll talk a little bit more about specific pollutants in the next slides, but broadly put, pollutants can be in the outdoor air because of natural processes. Pollen is an example that we all were probably a little too familiar with this spring. You can also cause air pollution through human-driven processes in the outdoor air. An example of this would be diesel-powered generators. Of course, the distinction between natural and human-driven processes isn't black and white. Wildfires, for example, are a phenomenon that we were all very familiar with last summer here in Hampton Roads. And they are a natural phenomenon, but their location, timing, and intensity can, of course, be affected by humans. And of course, the other thing is that the impacts of different kinds of pollutants can be very different. So for example, pollen and smoke particles are both types of particulate matter, which we'll talk about more in just a minute, but breathing them in can have really different impacts on you. There are also other factors that can affect ambient air quality beyond the sources and types of pollutants. And the geography of an area is one of those things. You may have heard of the term smog, which is all that means is a smash up of the words smoke and fog, and it refers to visible air pollution. It's most common in cities and industrial areas, and a city, especially in a low-lying area that's surrounded by hills, can be subject to something called inversion, which is when the cooler air is trapped by warmer air above it. And you can see the photo on the slide there is an example of smog trapped in a city in Kazakhstan. Some pollutants may react differently at different temperatures or levels of humidity. And of course, as we know, winds can move pollutants from one place to another as well. This video from NASA illustrates smoke being blown from Canada to the northeastern United States, and of course, as we know, the mid-Atlantic as well this past summer. And so even though Canada is pretty far away from us, things like wildfires can impact air quality very, very far away from the actual source. So let's look a little bit at the legal framework that protects our air nationally here in the United States and also here specifically in Virginia. So the Clean Air Act, or CAA, as we mentioned earlier, is a federal law to protect and improve air quality in the United States. It creates both federal and state requirements to enact the law. One of the requirements for the federal EPA, or the Environmental Protection Agency, is to set standards for air pollutants. The National Ambient Air Quality Standards, or NAAQS, set standards for 6 pollutants that are sometimes called criteria or primary pollutants. EPA regulates criteria pollutants by first developing health-based criteria or science-based guidelines as the basis for setting permissible levels. One set of limits, called primary standards, protects health, while secondary standards are intended to prevent environmental and property damage. EPA also sets emissions limits for hazardous air pollutants that we covered earlier, or called air toxics. And remember, there are about 188 of those on the list from EPA. One very important aspect of air quality protection in the United States is air quality monitoring in each state. We need to have a baseline, and we need to be able to measure improvements. So DEQ here in Virginia maintains the official record for ambient air quality. The data that data is used for a variety of other DEQ actions and decisions, and it's part of the data that we use for our air quality forecasts, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Data is reported into the air toxics inventory, which is something maintained federally, and sometimes data from hyperlocal monitoring networks may be used for health risk assessments here in the state. And an example of that would be the Hopewell study that took place in 2011, or the Tidewater Air Monitoring Evaluation, or TAME study, that's currently taking place in Newport News in Norfolk. So why is it important that we do monitor air pollution? Well, first of all, you can't manage what you don't measure, right? Monitoring and measuring pollution helps us better understand where it's coming from, where it might be a problem, and how we can improve it. And air pollution can affect human health, but it can also impact plants, wildlife, and visibility, like we talked about earlier with the Blue Ridge Mountains. And we don't just monitor air pollution. We also monitor pollution in streams, groundwater, fish, and lots more. As we've talked about, DEQ is the official record of these air pollution levels here in the state. And air pollution can be tied to a number of health issues, and so we want to make sure that we're tracking progress. And real-time air quality monitoring can also help people plan day-to-day around days that might have poor air quality. And as we know, air pollution is tied to a number of health issues. For example, children who grow up near freeways have more absences from school due to illnesses. And so we really want to make sure people have access to this data so that they can use it to make decisions. So which pollutants do we monitor and why? Let's talk a little bit about those criteria pollutants we mentioned a minute ago. So these pollutants, again, are identified in the Clean Air Act by the EPA, and each have different protocols for measurement and analysis. We monitor the national air quality, we monitor the national ambient air quality standards, and each of them have these different protocols for measurement and analysis. And the criteria pollutants are measured directly, with the exception that some nitrogen oxide measurements are indirect. Some others are measured hourly, some daily, and they are averaged over different time periods, and that can really vary pollutant to pollutant. Some are hourly, some are on 3-hour averages, some on 8 hours, some on 24-hour, and some are even averaged annually to assess the ambient levels in the air appropriately. And then some of that data will be averaged, or it could even be rounded or truncated depending on the pollutant. So these 6 primary pollutants include nitrogen oxide, which can contribute to ground level ozone, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Sulfur oxide, which used to be more of a problem with air pollution, but we have transitioned away from coal-fired energy generation, and so these emissions have really lessened. And sulfur oxides are a concern for programs to improve visibility in the national parks, like we discussed earlier. Giles County is the only non-attainment area in Virginia, and recent measurements have been showing improvement. We also have lead, which is no longer monitored because levels are so low in the state. Even the largest emitter in the state doesn't reach levels near the standard limit. Ground level ozone, this is generated from VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, and nitrogen oxides with high temperatures. There are about 20 monitors located at regional sites to capture that secondary generation. And ozone is still a problem, especially in Northern Virginia. And it's important to make sure that we understand that this ground level ozone is distinct from atmospheric ozone. In the atmosphere, ozone protects us from harmful UV radiation, as we know, but at ground level, ozone can contribute to human health problems. So it's important that we measure it and understand where it's a problem. Carbon monoxide is generally an indoor air quality concern. However, there is a monitor in each metropolitan statistical area in Virginia. And those monitors don't pick up levels even approaching the standard limit for carbon monoxide. And then particulate matter, which we mentioned earlier. And particulate matter just means microscopic solids or liquid droplets that are small enough for us to inhale. And we look at this specifically in two different sizes because these two sizes have significance to human health. The first size is 10 microns, and we refer to that as PM10. An example of that would be dust or pollen. And this is small enough to breathe into your lung tissue. And then magnitude smaller, we look at PM2.5, or particulate matter at 2.5 microns. And these are fine particles, metals, and organic compounds that are small enough to actually cross your blood barrier and enter your bloodstream. And so for that reason, these are really important to human health, and we want to make sure we understand what's going on with those in the area. And there aren't any specific sites with PM10 issues in Virginia, but we definitely saw a lot of spikes around wildfires, both last summer and then also in the state. There's been a couple this year. Most of the network is regional general ambient air monitors, but we have some source specific monitors that are specifically located near road sites throughout the Commonwealth. And we make a generalized air quality analysis with that. We do have some sulfur oxide site specific, source specific sites, and a lead source specific site. And if you want any more details on that, you guys can check out the data report on our DEQ website. So we also monitor air toxics, which we mentioned earlier, or hazardous air pollutants. And there are 2 monitors in Virginia that are a part of a nationwide network of monitors for those. As a reminder, our ambient air quality monitoring of hazardous air pollutants is not the same as monitoring of specific emissions for permitted facilities. And again, these hazardous air pollutants or air toxics are identified in the Clean Air Act federally. There are 2 sites in Virginia, Henrico and Hopewell. The site in Henrico County is part of the EPA's National Air Toxics Trend Station, or NATTS network. And the data is used to assess trends and evaluate the effectiveness of air emissions reduction programs, among other uses. And the Hopewell site was placed in 2009 as part of a grant to study localized impacts from air toxics. In addition to these sites, DEQ will also begin collecting data as part of an air toxic study in the Newport News and Norfolk area, and that's the Tidewater Air Monitoring Evaluation, or TAME project that I mentioned earlier. And I think we are going to pause there for questions.
That's right. So this brings us to our first pause. As Danielle mentioned earlier, we do have Chuck Turner online with us. He's one of our air quality specialists out of the central office, and we got some great questions coming in. So I'll go ahead and read the first one. Are any PFAS chemicals or forever chemicals on the HAP list so far? Has DEQ done any PFAS testing in air? What is the plan for regulating, monitoring PFAS in air in the future?
Okay, so are any PFAS chemicals on the HAP list so far? I am not aware of any overlap between the 188 HAPs listed in the Clean Air Act and the PFAS chemicals. I can certainly look into that and get back with you with more specific information. I don't believe, though, that the 188 original chemicals have been updated to include any PFAS compounds. And just as a side note for those who are listening, PFAS or PFAS is polyfluoro alkyl substances. It's a new class of chemicals called emerging pollutants. Second part of that question, have we done any PFAS testing in air? We have not to this point. Quite frankly, it's a decision on our part to let the technology and methodology, so to speak, mature a little bit before we start doing that. So we're sort of keeping an eye on what's developing across the nation in terms of getting that type of monitoring done, and certainly we'll look into it in the future. What is the plan for regulating and monitoring PFAS in air in the future? Again, we're staying on top of the technology as the methodologies improve, and we'll certainly start looking into possible applications of PFAS air quality monitoring in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Have I answered your question?
It looks like you hit each parts of the question, though, so thank you for that, and we will move on to the next one at this point in time. Are EPA primary air quality standards purely based on health impacts, or are cost, technology, economic impacts, et cetera, also factored in, as with EPA's drinking water MCLs?
The NAC standards are based purely on health information. They're a health-based standard. There is what's called a CASAC process. They're reviewed every 5 years, and every 5 years they review the new published data on the different pollutants and use that to then evaluate where the NACs is set and determine if it needs to be strengthened.
Great, thank you for that answer. The next question we have is actually for Grace. They asked about if you could repeat the comment you had made, I think it was on slide 10, about Giles County and sulfur oxides in non-attainment areas. If you have your script, if you could go back to that statement?
So actually, I just popped it in the chat. We are going to talk a little bit about Giles County and non-attainment areas in the next slide. So if it's okay, I might put a pause on that question and hopefully I'll answer it in just a moment.
That works perfectly. Thank you so much. All right, and this is something I know that's going to come up later in the presentation, but somebody has asked, how many ozone monitors are there in Northern Virginia and where are they? I don't know if Chuck might want to take that one. Thank you.
Certainly. Well, we do have a lot of ozone monitors in the Northern Virginia area. The ozone monitors for that area are driven by the population level of the Washington metropolitan statistical area. We have an ozone monitor at our Aurora Hills site in Arlington County. We also have an ozone monitor at Lee Park in Fairfax County. We have an ozone monitor in Loudoun County at Broad Run High School, one in Prince William County at Long Park, one in Fauquier County at the Chester Phelps Wildlife Management Area, one in an area called Corbin outside of Fredericksburg, and I'm sure I'm forgetting one, but the best way to answer that question, if you go to our website and go to the monitoring and forecasting page, you'll see a map of the Commonwealth of Virginia with all our monitoring sites on it. If you just mouse over the different squares that are on that map, it'll tell you exactly what pollutants we're monitoring for at those locations.
All right, great. Thank you so much again. And the next question we have, does Northern Virginia meet federal ozone standards?
You know, you figure a simple question like that would have a simple answer. And, you know, we've got people in the planning department. If you ask them that question, they'll give you a full paragraph to answer the question. The best way to look at it is with the most recent, what's called design value. And that is 3 years of data for the Northern Virginia area. Then yes, for that 3-year period, the design value for the Virginia side of the Washington Metropolitan Statistical Area met the ozone standard. Now, the entire Metropolitan Statistical Area includes DC and Maryland. And when you take into account those monitoring sites, then the answer is different. So in terms of fully answering that question, you know, we can certainly get back to you, and I'll get the planning people to sort of give you the structural answer to that question.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Chuck. That looks like the questions that we have to this point. So Grace, if you want to move ahead with the presentation, that'd be great.
Perfect. Thanks, y'all. Alrighty, so what if the monitored pollutants don't meet those standards? Was a really good segue for us there. So remember, the NAAQS, or the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, are the standards for our criteria pollutants. And that is the list of 6 pollutants that we covered in the previous slide that we don't want to exceed in the state. When there are patterns of exceeding the NAAQS, the EPA will mark that area as a non-attainment area. And currently there are 2 areas in Virginia that have exceeded the NAAQS regularly. We just mentioned the first one a minute ago, Giles County for sulfur dioxide and Northern Virginia for ozone. And part of the reason that sulfur oxide can be a problem, as we mentioned earlier, is that it can cause visibility issues. And then our Northern Virginia for ozone as well, as we mentioned just a second ago with Chuck. So what DEQ will do when we have these non-attainment areas is address them through our state implementation plan. So we'll work with the federal government on that plan, and we reduce that criteria pollutant and get back into attainment status in our state implementation. So good news, we have made some really great strides in reducing ozone in Northern Virginia, as you can see here on this graph. And we will be phasing it out of monitoring requirements hopefully soon. So again, you can't measure progress if you don't know what your baseline is. So that's great. So how do we monitor pollutants and assess ambient air quality in the state? So we have a network of monitors, and that's one of the tools that we have to help us assess air quality and plan for air quality improvements, and then protect air quality in turn. They give us a high-level, large-scale picture, which we can compare to those NAAQS, or National Ambient Air Quality Standards. These regulatory grade monitors do not measure acute ground level air quality like what you might experience while standing right next to a large diesel vehicle. And towards the end of the presentation, we will mention some tools that measure trends at a more local or personal scale. And as we talked about, the data from these monitors do contribute to the nationwide data analysis that the EPA has. And these regulatory monitors require specific siting characteristics. For example, distance from stationary sources of pollution. They want to be ground level or roughly ground level 2 to 10 meters. You also want to make sure that they aren't sited right next to obstructions like roadways or trees or tall buildings. And it's important to note that these monitors within this network are not fence line monitors. DEQ ambient air monitors are not for measuring emissions from specific sources. the way that we control that, again, is with our permitting program. So there are a variety of approved methods for monitoring air quality, and many of them are used at various monitoring sites around Virginia. Some methods use continuous air monitoring and average them over time, and others collect samples at designated intervals. Some of our data is ready for use immediately because it transmits electronically from computers, and others that are filter-based, for example, are collected in a documented chain of custody and then sent to laboratories for analysis. We have staff for our air quality monitoring office and in our regional offices around the state that visit these monitors regularly to collect the data if necessary, perform quality assurance to make sure they're working correctly, and perform maintenance if they are in fact not working correctly. And here you can see a couple of examples of those monitors in Virginia. The one on the left is a PM10 monitor, and these are pretty cool. This is what we would call a filter-based monitor. And what it does is it just pulls in air through the top there, and then it'll pull it into that tube and through a filter, which will capture particles that can then go to a state lab to be analyzed. And then on your right there, you will see what's called a speciation monitor. And that's taking particles and looking at what kinds of particles are within that data set. So here's a map to just give you kind of an idea of where these monitors are located around Virginia. And you will notice that a lot of them are concentrated in sort of urban areas. You can kind of clearly see Hampton Roads in Northern Virginia and Richmond there. And there is a gap, as you can see, in Southside Virginia, and our air quality monitoring program has been working on that. So stay tuned. A little bit about our air quality programs at DEQ, because of course, monitoring air is a huge important part of our air quality programs, but it's not the only part. So our DEQ regulatory air programs really function in this kind of cyclical process that you see here to ensure the safety and air quality of and air quality for Virginians. So first, we have our regulatory air monitoring, which we've been talking about today. And within that monitoring network, we collect data that we then use to identify any problems that might be present. Those problems are then assessed by our air quality assessment team, who then work with air quality planning to develop plans to address any problems that may have been identified. We also, as we've mentioned, as a really important part of this, make sure that we're controlling stationary sources with our air permitting team. And to aid our air permitting team, we also have our air compliance team who go and verify that those sources are complying correctly with their permits. And then in turn, that verifies our source emissions through our air quality monitoring network. And so these kind of things kind of feed each other. And we kind of are able to help inform each of these steps with the one before it. And we'll pause there again for questions.
Great, thank you so much, Grace. And before we step into new questions, Chuck, we just had a request that we follow up on the Giles County inquiry regarding its non-attainment status. If you could talk a minute about Giles County specifically, that would be really helpful.
Certainly. So the requirement to measure for sulfur dioxides in Giles County was part of what was called the Data Requirements Rule, which came out in 2016. It targeted a specific facility in that county named Lawast that was known to be an emitter of sulfur dioxide. So we put a monitor in place, and well, I say we made the company put a monitor in place in 2017, and they measured pollutants, SO2 for 3 years, 2017, 18, and 19, and got their first design value, and that design value exceeded the NAAQS. So because of that, they received that particular part of Giles County has received a non-attainment non-attainment designation. Now, the company has done a great number of things to bring those SO2 concentrations down, and they are being successful with those efforts. At this point, though, we still have the non-attainment designation out in Giles County for the area around the LaWasp facility.
Great, thank you so much for those details. We appreciate it. The next question we have is a little bit specific, so we're going to try to make it a little more generic so it applies to our whole audience. In general, somebody is interested in the distance between monitors and roadways. If you could speak to that a bit.
The distance between monitors and roadways, is that
let me see if I can find some more information on it. It looks like they're looking at specifically at a district park, and they want to make sure that the monitor is adequately reading the air quality in that area, and they want to know if there's a distance involved in there where those things might be more reliable.
Certainly, it goes back to what Grace was saying earlier about what the monitors within the air monitoring network functionally are expected to do. We locate our monitors in a way that we can make as broad a range air quality planning decisions for as large an air mass as we can. So the Lee Park, for example, is situated such that we feel it is representative at a regional scale for certain pollutants and neighborhood scale for others. So when we look at air quality data and what's representative for Fairfax County, then Lee District Park does represent that. Now, there may be individual sources of pollution that if you were standing next to them, you might see an impact from that. The idea here is for the monitoring network, we want to measure air that's impacted by all those possible sources, not necessarily just one. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't do what we call source-specific monitoring. Generally, when we do that, it's in the form of a special study. All right, so the monitoring network is intended to generate data where we can make as broad range decisions about air quality and air quality planning as we can. And then if there is an individual source that we feel is contributing in and of itself, then we do what's called, source-specific monitoring.
Great, thank you for that information, Chuck. And with that, it does look like we are all caught up on the questions. So Grace will hand the presentation back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about AQI, or the Air Quality Index. So AQI, or the Air Quality Index, it's kind of like a yardstick. And it's the EPA's tool for communicating daily air quality to us at large here in the United States. It uses color-coded categories and provides statements for each category that will tell you about air quality in your area, which groups of people may be affected, and steps that you can take to reduce your exposure to that air pollution. It's also used as the basis for air quality forecasts and current air quality reporting. It does not measure the concentration of pollutants, which is important to note. It's an index value. And so the idea is to kind of give you an average or a basic idea of what kind of concerns you might have that day based on the AQI. And of course, it is based on human health risk. Some limitations of AQI, temperature can impact it, pollen and other pollutants can impact AQI, which can really impact some of us, respiratorily speaking, but others may not be impacted quite as heavily. Different localized weather conditions, and also ground level measurements of these kinds of things. So again, the EPA does issue this, and they have since 1976 to provide kind of an easy to understand report for us, and also a format that's consistent across all of the states. The AQI as we know it today was issued in 1999, but it's been updated several times since then to reflect the latest health-based air quality standards. High-risk groups for AQI include children under 18, the elderly, people with chronic heart or lung disease, pregnant people, and people with diabetes. Also, adults who are active outdoors, including outdoor workers and avid exercisers, can also be considered at higher risk because they might have prolonged exposure to the outdoors. And all of these groups are most likely to be the first to experience effects of ozone or particulate matter pollution. And so these are the groups that we would want to take those extra steps to protect themselves from harm. So AQI is established for 5 major pollutants that are regulated by the Clean Air Act. And those are going to be ozone particulate pollution, also called particulate matter, as we talked about earlier, carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, and sulfur dioxide. The AQI for each pollutant is generally going to be based on the health-based ambient air quality standard, or NAAQS standard, for that pollutant, and the scientific information that supports that particular standard. And again, these vary in time frame. So depending on the pollutant that you're discussing, ozone for AQI is an 8-hour index. Particulate pollution for AQI is a 24-hour index. So it just kind of depends. And if you want to grab that QR code there, that'll take you to the EPA website for that kind of goes into more depth about each pollutant. I will warn you, it is a technical assistance guide, so it's a little heavy on the content. So DEQ air quality and forecasts are a great tool to use here in the state of Virginia. And what these are a prediction of that day's air quality index for a particular area. And forecasts are usually issued in the afternoon for the next day. So state and local air quality forecasters across the country issue these, and we use a number of different tools to come up with it, including weather forecasting models, satellite images, our air quality monitoring data, and computer models that estimate how pollution travels in the air. And then we also use our own working knowledge of how pollution behaves in certain communities to address air quality issues and forecasts for the next day. Most state and local air quality forecasters issue forecasts for ozone and particulate pollution, and that holds true for Virginia as well. And that's because these are 2 of the most widespread pollutants in the United States. A few areas also issue forecasts for nitrogen dioxide and carbon monoxide. Again, the time frame is usually focused on the next day, but the averaging period for the data, again, does depend on which pollutant you're discussing. And it's just kind of, again, it's like a weather forecast. It's just something so that you know what you can expect the next day. And this can be really helpful for folks that we just discussed who may be impacted by these kinds of ambient air quality concerns more so than others, depending on what kind of exposure they might have or what kind of pre-existing conditions they might have. And so this can really help individuals take steps to reduce that exposure. It's important to note that the forecast is done by region, and you can see those regions here: Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia, Richmond, Roanoke, and Winchester. And the forecast is going to be based on the worst reading in that region. So it's a really good indication of general conditions across the region, but it's not necessarily forecasted for super localized conditions. And if you want to check it out, we do have an interactive map of those sites and current AQI information on our website. And you can also sign up to receive daily air quality forecasts in your email if you'd like. So if you want to find out a little bit more about AQI for where you particularly live, like I said, you can sign up for air quality forecasts from DEQ for whatever region is the best, but when you get it, you'll see all the regions. You can also sign up for health alerts from DEQ. We'll let you know if there's a particular concern in your area. And if you happen to be located in the DC metro area, there are also air quality forecasts there as well. You can also check out airnow.gov for current air quality index information in all 50 states and Puerto Rico. And this includes nowcasts for ozone and particulate pollution. That's based on hourly readings. So you can get like pretty up-to-date information there. And then you can also check out some cool apps that has this information. Climb is a NOAA app. AirNow is the EPA app. And then there are a bunch of other weather apps. Pretty much any weather app, I think, that you download should have AQI included. So what can you do when AQI is unhealthy in maybe your neighborhood or your area? The first thing that you can do is limit the amount of time you spend outside. So the less you expose yourself to the ambient air, the better. You can consider changing the types of activities you do outside. So if you were planning on doing something really rigorous, you can maybe try to calm that down and make the activity a little less rigorous, and that can help make it a little healthier to be outside if you have to be. You can also wear a mask. Well-fitted N95 or KN95 mask is really helpful, especially if the risk is particularly high. You can use indoor air filters and vacuums with HEPA filters. And if possible, for indoor air quality, you can also avoid using candles, incense, or fireplaces, which are some things that can cause air quality issues indoors for us. So before we talk a little bit about other resources for air monitoring, let's make sure we know the difference between citizen air quality science and regulatory air quality monitoring. So as we said earlier, particulate matter describes solid particles suspended in the air, and this includes dust, smoke, and other organic or inorganic, which just means like biological or non-biological, basically, particles. Purple air sensors, and that's what you see here on your left, use a laser particle counter to count the number of airborne particles in the air. So basically that just means that a large concentration reported by purple air sensors can vary depending on the specific composition of what's in that particulate matter. So sometimes these sensors can read high, and that makes them really helpful for understanding general trends, but they aren't great in terms of really super accurate data when compared to air quality monitors, which typically measure mass concentrations by drawing them through a filter and analyzing the particles collected, like we talked about earlier. So again, the two major differences here between sensors like this and a regulatory air monitor are the method of measuring that particulate matter, but also the averaging time of the data collected. So the purple air sensor is kind of always measuring, while our regulatory data is more on a set schedule. And the regulatory air monitors are also designed to collect the data according to EPA protocols and data quality standards, so that we know the data is really accurate and we can trust it, so that we can use it to measure trends and make regulatory decisions, as well as assess, program effectiveness like we've been talking about tonight. Air sensors, however, on the other hand, are less sensitive, and so they can be super helpful for tracking like local trends and measuring particulate pollution at like ground level scales in your neighborhood. But unfortunately, they aren't great for regulatory data because they just aren't as accurate. So there are several great citizen air quality sensors out there if you're interested in taking a look at a more localized type of air quality information. And we totally encourage you to check them out. They can range from stationary, as you can see here, this is a purple air sensor that we have located in Norfolk as part of the Tidewater Air Monitoring Evaluation Project. And so they can be stationary, but they can also be handheld, and there are like a ton of other features that these things can have. Specifically here in Virginia, we are part of EPA's Region 3, which is the region of the country that we're included in. They have an air sensor loan program. So this program is designed to assist community groups, educators, state or local agencies, and tribes with conducting small-scale local air monitoring. And the purpose is to really increase the accessibility to affordable and user-friendly sensors like purple air sensors, so that they can inform communities about local air quality and help people make day-to-day decisions, like, am I going to take my kid with asthma down the street to the park today, or am I going to keep them inside, right? And so those kinds of things can be really important, you know, day to day in people's lives. And so it's a really great program. Definitely check it out if that's something you're interested in. You can also purchase these. They cost about $230, I think. The EPA also, like we've said, collects all of the air quality data nationally. So they're a great resource for air quality information, as well as NOAA. And then the other resource that we definitely wanted to highlight was the NASA Data Explorer, which is like a huge resource full of all kinds of different data sets. I would definitely recommend checking it out. We can connect you with some folks if you need some help navigating it, but it's actually pretty user-friendly, and they've done a really good job of trying to make it what's a huge tool, like not very clunky. So definitely check that out as well if you want to learn a little bit more about other kinds of data sources for air quality. So we will stop there and do a couple more polls and hopefully find out a little bit more about what we learned this evening.
All righty, Grace, let's launch this second poll for our participants here. Which of the following topics have you learned more about in this webinar? And you can select multiple. Let's go ahead and get your votes in on the poll questions here, folks. There we go. We've got one person voting. There we go. Got a couple more. What have you learned about this webinar? Go ahead and select all that apply. And let's see if we can get this up a little higher for our percentage rate. Responses. There we go. Fabulous. Thank you, folks, for voting. And I'm going to go ahead and close this poll and then share the results with you, Grace. There you are.
Wonderful. Awesome. Well, that's good news. I think over 50% for all of them. So that is positive. It seems like the National Ambient Air Quality Standards was our least learned about. So that's great to note. And it looks like Ambient Air Quality Monitoring Network and our data use are pretty neck and neck. So I'd say that's not too bad. Alrighty.
Great. Do you want to move on to the next one?
That sounds good. Thanks, Kevin.
And let's go ahead and get the next one up here for you to vote on, folks. Our next poll is, which of the following you're likely to do now? You want to sign up for air quality forecasts? How about look into the purple air or other air quality sensors? Which ones are these that you're likely to do now? There's also an option for none of the above too. Let's go ahead and get your votes in, get those percentage response rates up a little higher. Excellent. Thank you for voting, folks. Appreciate it. Going ahead and close this poll, and I'll share those results with you. Grace, what do you make of that?
Awesome. Okay, so sign up for air quality forecast. It looks like setting up purple air or another air quality sensor was really high. That feels like a great opportunity to mention if you have any trouble getting your purple air set up or you want a little bit of help. We have a little bit of experience with that through the Tidewater Air Monitoring Project. So reach out and we're happy to help you out and see if we can get anything done there. And then it looks like checking the air quality index before going outdoors was next, and that is super important for our communities. So that's great to hear. Thank you guys, we really appreciate it. Awesome. And then we will talk a little bit about next steps. Or excuse me, first we'll do any questions and then we'll talk about next steps.
Great, thank you, Grace. This brings us to our final official pause for questions as we begin to wrap up the formal part of the presentation. So as we're looking around, we do see another question has popped up, and Chuck, we'll turn this one over to you. The question is, what are the major contributors to degraded air quality in Virginia and also specifically in Northern Virginia?
You know, that's a big question. You're covering a big area when you think about the Commonwealth of Virginia. Certainly, you know, traffic and cars are always a contributor. In Northern Virginia, you could say that's a big contributor just because of the traffic level up there. You know, the other big pollutant contributors, not necessarily Northern Virginia, but, you know, certainly industrial facilities are big contributors as well. You know, if you go out to the western part of the state, animal operations actually can contribute to air pollution as well. So from that perspective, there's just a lot of contributors. Industrial, commercial, power generation is a big one as well. So in big question, big answer, but, you know, from the Northern Virginia standpoint, a lot of the impact is from vehicle traffic.
Great, thank you for your input on that, Chuck. Another question has just come in. Does DEQ plan to monitor methane releases from pipelines?
You know, that's interesting. That wouldn't be necessarily an ambient air quality monitoring question. Generally speaking, when you are looking at that, you apply what's called a leak detection and repair program. And that's generally done with handheld, quote unquote, sniffers and a systematic means of going back and checking those out. And a lot of the LDAR, they're called leak detection and repair programs, are required through regulation. So in terms of methane measurement, we generally let the regulations sort of structure that for us. That gives us the advantage of, you know, being able to look in and use the federal experience on questions of that nature. So from an air quality monitoring standpoint, that is ambient air quality monitoring, you know, the methane question and pipelines really is more appropriately directed towards the permitting program and leak detection and repair programs.
Great, thank you for that, Chuck. We appreciate it. And with that, we'll go on to we are all caught up on questions again, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide, where we just want to thank you again to everyone for participating this evening. This air quality presentation was the second in DEQ's educational series webinars. The upcoming webinars we have moving forward that we hope you'll join us for include DEQ 101 on August 27th. This will provide you with an overview of DEQ's functions and responsibilities and talks about how to sign up for DEQ newsletters and other ways to stay involved. And then DEQ tools and resources on October 22nd. In this webinar, we'll present some of DEQ's interactive web mapping and GIS tools, permit tracking systems, and other helpful resources. And then we also have pollution prevention on December 10th. That will be the last of the educational series webinars for 2024. And this presentation will focus on DEQ's pollution prevention programs, as well as hopefully increase everyone's familiarity with the pollution prevention resources that we have. And as we wrap up this evening, we'll go to, looks like we have a QR code here, was posted on this slide, where you can take a brief survey. You can inform us about what other topics you might be interested in learning about from DEQ in future webinars in 2025.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kate. And with that, I think that concludes our webinar for this evening. I hope everyone has a lovely dinner and a nice evening, and we hope to see you at the next one. Thank you.
Yep, and I think some of our staff may have posted a link to an evaluation in the chat. So if you see that there, you can click on it if you have time tonight, just to give us some feedback. We really would appreciate it. So thank you again for your time and have a great evening.